Hello viewers, welcome to MBTV Weekly Property Roundup. We bring to you top 5 developments from Indian real estate space that's going to have a lasting impact on you as consumers. I am Prasun Kumar, Marketing Head of Magicbricks, and with me is Jayashree Kurup, Senior Real Estate Journalist and Editor-in-Chief of MBTV. So Jayashree, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Prasun.
And the first news that came our way was again on Jaypee. Right, and there seems to be a never-ending saga going on here. Now it's creditors which are going to meet again on June 20th to decide future course of action. I mean, is this going to really solve the problem? I mean, we are seeing first, sometimes consumers doing something, then creditors doing something, then courts doing something. It's just going on and on.
Actually, the Jaypee saga has to resolve itself because this is going to be the precedent for all other NCLT cases, and there are plenty of them out there. But the point is that what we notice is that the lenders don't seem very interested in resolving this so that everybody gets the best deal. The lenders are being very selfish here, I feel. The lenders were part of the COC. We've been saying this again and again. The lenders knew what was happening there. If the houses were not being built, the lenders were directors on the board. So at that stage, if they had raised the flag, things would not have been so bad. Today, when everything is seeming to come to a point where you are trying to resolve it, the lenders are you're calling their card and saying that I will not support NBCC. Right. Now, NBCC, just to put it in perspective for those of you who haven't been following it, NBCC is the chosen authority for building. And when Magicbricks did a survey the last time we did the show, we found that 100 out of 100 consumers wanted NBCC to complete it. But the lenders are not letting NBCC build it. Clearly, there are lots of things there that are going to tumble out of cupboards, and these skeletons are what the lenders seem to be scared of. But nevertheless, a resolution has to happen, and the wait for the consumer is becoming longer and longer. The one thing I can say, Prasun, is that the entire system, from the legal system to the government and RERAs and everyone, seems to be sympathetic to the home buyer. So no matter what games you play as lenders or any other stakeholder, it's not going to fly because today the entire system is geared to delivering the houses to the consumer who has paid for it. So I think they're just making the wait longer, but some resolution should come out.
And that's the point. So do you think really these things can be resolved in a time-bound manner?
When does
I mean, can a government or any authority put a timeline saying, okay, fine, we'll resolve this issue within the next 24 months or next 18 months, etc. And I'm not saying construction and delivery of the final flats. It's just resolution of these kind of issues, right? I mean, that sure can be done in a time-bound manner.
Actually, NBCC is given a timeline. It has said that from, if it starts now, NBCC says 2023, the last house will be delivered and handed over. Now, considering that the consumers have waited for a long time, that's a very long timeline. But look at it, 25,000 flats to be delivered, right? So I think that everyone wants a timeline, except possibly the lenders who are trying to call in their money.
Sure. And I don't think there's an appreciation of the fact that while consumers are already paying to lenders any which way through EMIs and other down payments, etc. Lenders are trying to recover not only the principal that they have invested, they're also trying to recover the entire money that they kind of would have made out of this, and
they
ultimately
don't want to take a haircut.
That's right. And ultimately consumer is going to lose, right? So
the system loses.
The system loses, yes.
Because if the houses go through to completion, 25,000 houses translates into, there are at least 10, 12 other industries that kickstart.
Yes.
And there's a lot of economic activity that gives jobs, that gives other industries a boost. So really it is counterproductive to the economy as well.
Yeah, and considering that Noida, Greater Noida, Gurgaon, some of these areas have been the ones which have been the major trouble spot as far as underdelivered projects are concerned throughout the country. Resolution of any kind of dispute, and a large scale dispute like Jaypee any which way, is going to also bring in momentum, right? And that momentum should see through a lot of problems that the industry has.
It brings a lot of positivity once this starts getting resolved, but we are still going round in circles.
Yeah. Moving to housing for all by 2022, and now NAREDCO is calling for boosting rental housing in the upcoming budget. Why is boosting rental housing important, and why is NAREDCO right now pushing for it?
See, Prasun, Magicbricks has been working with the government of India to figure out how to come up with a robust rental housing policy. Any good real estate market should have substantial quantities of good quality rental housing. Now, everybody in the system does not want to buy a house, nor can everybody afford to buy a house because of various reasons. Now, here what's happening is that 2022 target was that a house for every Indian family to live in. It was from the perspective of will everyone purchase a house?
Accessibility to a home.
No, it was purchase.
It was purchase, okay.
Now the government has figured out that actually you also needed to be supplemented with a good rental housing policy. And for the builders who are not able to sell today, a good rental housing policy with the kind of the offsets that they're asking for in terms of taxation and so on, it actually means a straw to help them tide through a week.
So affordable housing in case of rent would translate into affordable renting in the sense that you should have cheaper rented houses available for cheaper rents and
either the rent itself drops or there is rental subsidies that are given to the deserving, very similar to what you do with gas subsidies.
Right.
It comes directly into their accounts and that boosts that market.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. And the problem obviously of underdelivered flats continues across country. And we have an example now from Pune where MahaRERA has ordered a builder to refund a crore. The question is, if a developer says that he doesn't have money to finish the project, would developer not also claim that he doesn't have money to obviously refund to a consumer? So would these orders therefore hold any kind of gravity?
A lot of times the developer says that he didn't have money, but in this case MahaRERA actually waited for 2 years from 2017 May till 2019 May when the 2 years moratorium that he had sought was given, but he hasn't completed the house. So today when the consumer came to him and said, I waited till 2017, 5 years ago I had paid and now I need money and I need the house or the money, again the developer says I haven't completed it. So this time MahaRERA has been very tough on him. Will the developer not pay? If he doesn't pay, there will be more, it'll mean...
So what options a buyer has if a developer still doesn't pay in spite of a...
We had some lawyers here whom we asked and he said, the law is not helpless. The law can, recall various things. The developers are getting away by saying, I don't have money, but while the money markets are tight, so is the money market tight for the consumer. Sure. So I am sure that here there has to be a resolution, and if you are not able to build in the 2 years extra moratorium period that you've been given, then you will have to figure out how you can pay back.
And we have had cases where courts had ordered either auctioning or selling of personal kind of properties. I think it was in case of Amrapali, if I'm not wrong, of developers also to pay, either build the project or to pay back to consumers.
Yes. Then take the assets and liquidate it to pay back to consumers.
Sure. And builders in UP are telling Chief Minister there that if you waive off certain penalties imposed on us, we'll be able to deliver 25,000 flats in Noida, Greater Noida area. Now, that's a welcome news for buyers. What are these kind of penalties and can they really be waived off?
They can actually, Prasun, and they should be. I'll tell you, while we have been saying that developers there have been a lot of misdeeds by the developers in the last few years. There was a 2-year period when the NGT gave a retrospective order in an area where sanctioned building plans were there and where consumers had started buying, where they said that for 2 years you can't construct. Now, the developer couldn't have moved anywhere and the developer has asked the authority to consider those 2 years a zero period, where they are not charged any penalties. But the authorities in their wisdom have decided that not only have they not considered it for the last 7-8 years, but suddenly when the project is complete and the flats are ready for handover, they are asking for money, those penalties of those years. And that's what the developers are protesting, and they've taken it to the Chief Minister, who I believe has given them a satisfactory hearing. The Chief Minister, of course, has assured consumers that we'll get your houses through. But think about it, for a tussle between the developer and the authority, consumers are not able to move into those flats which are even completed by the developers. And we spoke to one of the leading developers here, and he said he's got 10,000 flats that he can hand over by March 2020. Only if the resolution of this this dispute has to happen, and I think it should happen.
And this is in jurisdiction of the state government any which way,
Yes,
right?
it is.
Okay. And Delhi government has notified draft parking policy. Now parking has been such a problem across now allowing free parking in residential areas. What changes here?
Last year, they came out with a draft policy which had the whole city up in arms. If you own a house anywhere in Delhi and you want to park your car on the street, like you've been doing since you bought a car, you would have to pay a hefty parking charge, and the municipal authorities would levy it. Clearly, the residents went up in arms and said, my house, my car, where you tell me where to park, I'll park it there. So it's an issue that has been festering for a while, and street parking is always more expensive than private parking, off-street parking around the world. But in the absence of any kind of policy, you couldn't do that. Now, cities like Gurgaon and so on, they have started a policy now where they've said that any new house on a plotted development should have stilt parking, which means that if you have cars in the house, it has to be parked inside the house and not on the street. So slowly they're trying to ease the problem to that extent, and those which don't have a provision of inside parking or garage parking, they will be allowed to park if it is a residential area. If it is your house,
and that will be chargeable.
Not
if
chargeable.
You park on the street.
No, they haven't. Chargeable. They haven't. Not inside the residential area, but on streets, definitely they're going to hike the parking charges. Yeah. You've seen that parking charges have actually gone up, especially places
in
like
commercial areas. Of course, it has gone up.
In all commercial areas.
Yes. I think that's a welcome thing to do, because we do have to decongest our roads and streets any which way,
and push people towards public transport.
That's right. But the health of public transport also calls for another discussion and debate anyway, right?
Except that we have a fabulously running metro. If you park somewhere along the metro, don't take your...
But what about last mile connectivity?
Yes, and I think that is what the government is trying to do with that, places
that entire thing of Grameen Seva and all, it just doesn't work for a lot of people. Right?
But if you go to Connaught Place, if you go to Khan Market, you go to any of the big commercial areas, these hubs are all connected by the metro now, and that's a big welcome.
That's right. I think the challenge is for residential areas, because you have metro stations at some distance and you need that last mile connectivity, and therefore the problem happens. So on that note, this is it for this week. We hope this was useful for you. Keep watching MBTV and stay tuned.
Thank you and have a great week.
Please subscribe to Magicbricks on YouTube and click on the bell icon to get more videos.